Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Travel Tech. So in my previous video you saw the unboxing and features of the VIOFO A119 Mini 2 dash camera, a camera which has a latest Sony Starvis 2 sensor and also comes at a price of about 16,000 rupees. Adding to the fact that it has a very small form factor, I'm actually very impressed with this. So in this video I'll be showing you the installation of this cam and also showing you in detail how you can connect the cam to your smartphone along with all the detailed in-app settings for this dash camera. So these in-app settings are really important and I want you to take a look at all of these settings before you decide on buying this camera. So let's not waste any time and jump in straight into the video. So let's get started. So before proceeding with the installation, clean the area of the windshield where you want to install the dash cam. Following that, take a compatible microSD card, preferably a VIOFO high endurance memory card, and insert it into the memory card slot of the dash camera. Press it gently until you hear a small clicking sound. Take out the lens cover from top of the lens, and following that also take out the 3M sticker covering tape from the windshield mount, which also doubles up as your GPS module. Then stick the dash camera on the selected area of the windshield. Press around the camera gently for proper adhesion. Make sure that there are no gaps between the sticker tape and the windshield. Then insert the Type-C USB power cable into the Type-C port of the dash cam. Following it, take the wire and conceal it on the top trim or the top beading of the car. Then take the 12-volt adapter from the dash camera box and insert it into the 12-volt socket of the car. Once the adapter fits in, insert the other end of the power cable, which is a USB-A port, into the car charger. Then turn on the engine of the car. Once the car turns on, the dash camera should start automatically. While taking a look at the display, adjust the camera angle so that you get a proper orientation of the video. Now the VIOFO A119 dash cam is ready to use. So now let's begin with showing you how you can connect the dash camera to your smartphone. So first, heading into the VIOFO app. So here you go. As soon as you open up the app, you have a button at the bottom which says connect your camera. If you go ahead and click on that, it will start to search for the Wi-Fi network of the dash camera. So make sure you have turned on the Wi-Fi within the dash cam by clicking on the respective button. So once you have done that, click on the continue button. So here it provides the default Wi-Fi name and password on the screen, so you can take a look at this and enter the same password in the Wi-Fi menu settings. So let's head on to the Wi-Fi menu settings, and here as you can see the VIOFO Wi-Fi network has popped up. So I'll just click on that.
Wi-Fi connected.
So since I have already entered the password, it is going to connect to the dash cam automatically. So let's head back onto the app. So now as you can see, the dash cam now has successfully connected to the smartphone via the VIOFO app, and it is currently streaming live video footage on the smartphone. So in order to enter into the settings of the dash cam, you first need to stop the recording by clicking on the red button right below. So as soon as I clicked on that, the recording now has stopped and I have entered the in-app settings of the dash camera. So on top you have the first option, which is the video resolution, and if I click on that, you get a sub menu at the bottom, and this gives you a variety of resolution and frame rates which you can select for this dash cam. The top resolution being 2592 into 1944p at 30 frames per second. Following that, you have the 2560 into 1600 at 30 frames per second. Then you have the 2560 into 1440p at 60 frames per second. Following that, the same resolution at again 30 frames per second. Then again a 2560 into 1080 at 60 frames per second, following that by 30 frames. Then you have a 1296p resolution at 30 frames, again a 1920 into 1080, that is a full HD resolution at 60 and 30 frames per second. So you have a lot of flexibility in terms of resolution and frame rates which you can select for this dash camera. So I'll just select the top resolution for the moment. Following this, you have the next option, which is a loop recording. So if I click on that, again you have a lot of options here, starting from turning off the loop recording entirely or keeping a loop recording up to 1, 2, 3, 5 and even maximum of 10 minutes. So I'll just keep it at 1 minute for the time being.
Then the third option is to enable or disable the mic. Following this, you have the exposure value option, and if you click on that, you can set the exposure value to the highest or the lowest level based on your requirement. So this is more of a professional option, and play around with this option only if you know exactly what you're doing. So the following option is the HDR, that is higher dynamic range. So you can enable or disable it or keep it even at auto settings, so that the camera itself recognizes when to activate the HDR and when to deactivate it. Following this, you have the auto HDR time. In this, you can select the time duration you want the HDR to be turned on and select the time duration you want the HDR to be turned off. Then you have the motion detection option, which you can enable or disable. So there's a switch right here, so you can enable that as well. Then you have the G sensor option, for which you can select the sensitivity as low, medium or high, and you can even turn it off completely. Following this, you have the date stamp, which will put up a date on the video recorded. Then you have the bitrate option, which can select low, medium or high. I'll select it at the highest setting, so let's click on OK button. And following this, you have the time lapse recording option. So if you click on that, you have the option to turn it off completely. You have the option to have a time lapse for 100 milliseconds, 200 milliseconds, 1 second, 2 seconds, and this goes all the way up to 10 minutes as well. Following this, you have the system settings option, wherein you have the Wi-Fi channel option. You can click on this and select the required Wi-Fi channel you want the dash cam to use. You have 2.4 GHz, 5 GHz and 5.8 GHz as well. Following this, you have the time zone option, and if you click on that, you can set the accurate time zone depending on your geographical location. Following this, you have time synchronization, which you can use to synchronize the time and date with your smartphone. Then you have the date format as DDMMYY or MMDDYY and all the other standard date formats. Then you have the boot delay option, and if you click on that, you can select the boot delay up to 5 seconds and 10 seconds based on your requirement. So I'll just turn it off for now. Then you have the parking mode option, in which you can turn it off completely or you can select auto event detection. Then you have the option to select a time lapse recording for 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 frames per second, and you can also select a low bitrate recording as well. So this will work only with a hardware kit. Following this, you can select the parking recording timer, which you can extend up to 48 hours and come down to either 24 hours, that is 1 day, or 12 hours, 8 hours, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1, 30 minutes, or turn it off entirely. Then you have the enter parking mode timer, which you can select to turn off completely, or you can select it at 90 seconds, which means the parking mode will begin only after 90 seconds after the car has turned off. Then you have the parking G sensor option. You can select the sensitivity. You have the parking motion detection, which you can select as medium, low or high. Then you have the option to rotate the image, mirror the image. Also you have the option to turn on the notification sounds, and you can keep the startup sound only or the button beep only, or you can turn it off completely. So this is also an option which is present there. Then you can enable or disable the voice notification. You can enable or disable the voice control as well. Following this, you have the specific voice commands which you can give for this dash camera. So this gives a list of the voice commands here. You can give these specific voice commands to make the camera work based on your requirement. Now I'm not going to get into the detail of those voice commands in this particular video. So following it, you have the option to enable or disable the GPS. Then you have the speed unit options. Then you have the GPS info stamp option, wherein you can select either to display the speed or coordinates, or only the speed or only the coordinates, or you can turn it off entirely. Then you have the camera model stamp, which means it will display the name of the camera model on the video recorded. You can enable or disable that as well. Then you have the screensaver option, which means the camera will turn off after the selected duration of time. Currently it is set at 30 seconds. So if you want, you can increase up to 3 minutes, and the lowest is about 1 second. Then you have the frequency of video recorded, that is 50 Hz or 60 Hz. Currently it is selected at 50 Hz. Then you have the language option. Then you have the voice notification volume, wherein you can increase or decrease the volume of the dash camera notifications. Then you have the option to format the SD card. Then you can alter with the Wi-Fi name. You can change the Wi-Fi password. You can also give a custom text stamp on the video, and you can also enter the car license number as well. Following this, it is displaying the free space on the currently inserted memory card. And lastly, here you find the option to reset the camera settings to its factory settings. So below in the other options you have the app version and the firmware version of the dash camera being given right there. So these are all the settings which are present within the VIOFO app, and I think this is a very versatile and a very unique settings which I have seen till date.
So what do you think? Well, I think that the in-app settings provided by VIOFO for this camera are very vast, and for the price I think you're getting a very good deal, because you get a lot of control over many factors that affect the functionality of this dash cam. So if you want to have such versatile and professional control over the entire settings and the functioning of the dash camera, and you want a small form factor, and you want a Sony Starvis 2 sensor, the latest generation of sensor from Sony, well, I think you can safely decide on buying this dash cam. And in case if you do want to buy it, the purchase link is provided in the description. You can check that out. Also, you can check out my previous videos on dash cams and their comparisons. The link to that playlist will also be given in the description. If you like this video, make sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button and smash that like button before you move on to the next one. If you have any doubts or queries, do write them down and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Many interesting dashcam review videos and comparison videos are coming up in the future, so make sure you do not miss that. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.